You have wondered why your steps feel chained, why every path that looked clear suddenly closed. You used to move fast. Now, heaven has slowed you down. It's not rejection, it's restriction by design. There is a sacred pause written into every chosen story. The delay isn't punishment, it's preparation. You're being held in divine stillness, so your next movement will not just make noise but create impact. It feels like time betrayed you, but heaven never runs late. Heaven moves in appointed hours. It is written in the book of Zechariah, chapter 4, verse 10. Hudaris dispisi, the day of small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin. Do you hear it? God celebrates beginnings, even when they look small, hidden, or painfully slow. He's not ignoring you, he's constructing the foundation beneath your feet. Let me tell you about one who lived this truth. A man named Eliam. He had a promise burning inside him to build a community center for broken youth in his city. Every permit, every fund, every helper he prayed for silence. He grew angry. He tried forcing open doors himself. Everything failed. One night, sitting on the cold steps of the half-built foundation, he whispered, "God, why give me a vision if you won't let me move?" And in that windless night, a single page from his notebook lifted and turned by itself, landing on the words he had written months ago, "Wait for the Lord's wind." He realized heaven hadn't forgotten. Heaven was synchronizing. 3 months later, funding came from a source he never imagined. The same officials who had denied him called back, saying, "Now is the time." He wept not because the door opened, but because he finally understood why it hadn't opened before. Chosen one. That's you. You are standing in the same divine equation. Heaven pauses you, not to embarrass you, but to build what you cannot see. You are like a lantern in the wind. If you move before the flame settles, you'll blow out the very fire you were meant to carry. So heaven holds you steady, shields you from the gust, until your flame grows strong enough to light others. This stillness is holy. This silence is strategy. There are things God must align before He releases you, voices that need to hear your message, rooms that need to exist before your arrival, people who must be humbled enough to receive what you carry. You can't see it, but angels are rearranging circumstances. Even now, you feel the tension between readiness and restraint. That's how heaven trains generals, by forcing them to master stillness before movement. Anyone can run, only the chosen can wait. Even nature understands this rhythm. The tide doesn't rush it, withdraws before its next great return. The seed doesn't bloom, it breaks in darkness first. And the arrow doesn't fly, it's pulled backward to gather force. So don't despise your pause. It's the backward pull before the launch. It's heaven's way of saying, "I am still working." Oh, listen carefully. When the next sign comes, you'll know. It won't sound like thunder, it'll feel like peace. A peace that tells you to rise. And when you do, doors will open without effort because heaven already unlocked them. Until then, tend the oil in your lamp. Keep your discipline. Keep your purity. Don't mistake delay for distance. God's silence is not absence, it's preparation for manifestation. If this message meets you in that quiet waiting place, take a breath. You don't need to type long declarations. Just whisper, "I am still here." And if you feel led, share this with someone else who's been waiting. so they know their pause is also divine. And when you're ready, mark the number 777 below, not as a superstition, but as a declaration that you trust the timing of heaven. Your story hasn't stopped. It's just being written in invisible ink. Every delay in your life carries data. Heaven is recording how you respond in the waiting, your words, your posture, your endurance. This is not wasted time, it's sacred measurement. What you do in this pause determines how high you'll rise when the command finally comes. Some people lose faith in silence, but not you. You were built to hold the line. You were designed to remain faithful when the noise fades. When others run, you root yourself deeper. That's what separates the called from the chosen, the ability to trust without evidence. Keep your eyes lifted. The next sign will not come from chaos, but from calm. When the wind shifts, you'll feel it in your spirit first. And when it comes, you'll know heaven has moved, and this time, it won't be a pause. It'll be a release. You keep asking, why the restraint? The truth is, heaven hides you when the world is not ready for your revelation. The stillness surrounding you is not absence, it's divine preservation. God sometimes keeps his chosen ones under wraps because exposure too early can destroy what has not yet matured. You are not invisible. You are incubated. There's a difference between being unseen and being unfinished. The hidden season doesn't erase your destiny, it protects it. Every prophet, every apostle, every chosen soul in Scripture endured a season when God whispered, "Wait." Even the greatest lights were once kept under shade until their time. Think of Moses, hidden in the reeds while Pharaoh hunted every male child. The silence of that basket was not weakness, it was survival. The baby who floated unseen was the same man who later divided the sea. Your quiet season carries that same divine mystery. According to what is revealed in the book of Psalms, chapter 27, verse 14, "Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart." Wait, I say, on the Lord. Those words aren't an invitation to do nothing, they're a summons to grow quietly. In stillness, courage is built. In waiting, hearts are strengthened. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man named Jalen, gifted, fierce. He had dreams of preaching, healing, speaking to crowds, but no platform opened for him. Every invitation fell apart. Every door closed. He tried forcing his own opportunities, even begged God for signs. But heaven stayed silent. One evening, walking home from his night job, he passed a broken streetlight flickering above an empty road, and something inside whispered, "That's you ready to shine. But my timing hasn't switched on yet." He stopped walking. He realized the light wasn't broken. It just hadn't been given power. The next day, he stopped striving and started studying. He fasted. He prayed. He served quietly. 3 years later, in a small community church, the same fire that used to burn impatiently in him began to flow through his words. He didn't chase platforms anymore, they found him. That is the mystery of divine restraint. You may feel forgotten, but God is forming something in the unseen that cannot be rushed. Your name is being whispered in rooms you haven't entered yet. Your voice is being tuned to the exact frequency heaven needs for the next season. Think of your life as a garden hidden behind a wall. No one sees the seeds germinating, but the gardener checks the soil daily. He knows when to water, when to prune, when to keep others out. Sometimes he delays the blooming not to punish you, but to protect you from plucking yourself too early. The hidden season teaches you how to walk without applause, how to hear God without confirmation. It teaches you patience that applause can't teach. It refines your motives. When everything around you goes quiet, you start to hear your own heart, and that's when God starts shaping it. You might wake up some days and feel like nothing is happening. But heaven is busy behind the curtain. Angels are aligning opportunities, timing connections, building platforms. The silence you feel is simply heaven's construction zone. Do not despise the quiet. The quiet is where you are being equipped with wisdom that noise would drown out. When Joseph sat forgotten in prison, he thought destiny had left him behind. But the pause was prophetic. God was allowing Egypt to reach its famine, Pharaoh to reach his dream, and timing to reach its intersection. The restraint on Joseph's movement was the synchronization of nations. You, too, are part of something larger. This is the secret of divine timing. What feels like pause to you is precision to God. Every time you try to move and feel resistance, stop fighting it. Ask instead, what are you protecting me from? Sometimes God delays not to keep you out, but to keep danger in until it's safe to pass. Remember this truth. A diamond is not born in light, it's formed under pressure, hidden from sight, until its brilliance is undeniable. So stay faithful in obscurity. Stay consistent when nobody claps. The world doesn't need to see you yet. Heaven does. When the seal breaks, the unveiling will be sudden, but not surprising. You will recognize the rhythm because you learned it in the dark. The hidden season is holy. Embrace it. The silence is not a void, it's a vow between you and heaven. You want to move. Every part of you aches for action. You've prayed, fasted, planned, and still. Heaven whispers, wait. This is the tension between obedience and impulse. You think obedience should always look like movement, but sometimes the greatest obedience is stillness. There comes a point when you must realize that waiting is not wasting. God is not interested in speed. He is interested in sequence. If you move too early, you break alignment. If you move too late, you miss the window. That's why heaven disciplines you in the art of divine stillness. The prophet Jeremiah once recorded a mystery of timing and trust. According to the scroll of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a future and a hope." God knows his plans, even when you don't know yours. Let me tell you about Mara. She was a gifted designer, a dreamer with vision far beyond her years. She once received a prophetic word that she would build beauty from ashes. Fired up, she quit her job, launched her brand, and waited for success. But nothing worked. Orders failed. Investors pulled out. The same friends who hyped her at first now whispered, maybe she missed God. In frustration, she shut everything down. For months, she painted in silence, just to survive the ache. One morning, as dawn broke through her window, she felt God speak, not through thunder, but through a soft stirring. Now you're painting for me, not them. And that morning marked a shift. She realized her obedience wasn't to an idea, but to timing. When she finally relaunched, Her art began to sell globally. She didn't chase validation anymore, it found her. Your stillness is not failure, it's refinement. There's a kind of obedience that doesn't perform. It simply abides. You don't need to prove your readiness. Heaven already knows you're ready. The question is, can you hold your position until the commander gives the signal? You are like a soldier at dawn. The horizon is glowing, but the horn has not sounded yet. You can see the field. You can taste the victory. But you wait. Why? Because to move without order is to fight without authority. Sometimes, silence is your test. God uses delay to reveal what's driving you, faith or frustration. When you feel restless, ask yourself, am I being called to act or being tested to trust? Even Jesus himself waited until the appointed hour to reveal his power. There were moments he could have rushed, could have proven himself, but he said, "My time has not yet come." That's mastery of timing. That's obedience shaped by trust. The truth is, heaven's timeline never runs parallel to your emotions. You might feel late, but heaven says you're right on schedule. Obedience in stillness is costly. It requires humility, because you must accept that visibility doesn't equal validation. Some of the most powerful people on earth are hidden right now, training, praying, strengthening quietly for their next assignment. That's where you are. Think of yourself as a string pulled tight on a bow. The tension feels painful, but it's building force. If you relax too soon, you'll lose direction. But if you hold your form, heaven will release you at the perfect angle, with perfect precision. So stop apologizing for your pause. Stop trying to explain what heaven hasn't yet unveiled. There's glory in being misunderstood when your assignment is divine. When the next sign comes, it will come with peace, not bunits. Until then, keep listening, keep preparing. You are not behind, you are becoming aligned. And if this message speaks to the place inside you that's tired of waiting, yet still willing to trust, leave a simple phrase below. Still I wait. End. Say it as a declaration, not a complaint. Say it because you understand. Now your waiting is not passive. It's prophetic. It means heaven still has its hand on you. Every pause tests the depth of your faith. Anyone can trust when doors swing open. But trust that survives, silence becomes gold. It's in that quiet obedience that heaven refines your spirit until your surrender is genuine, not conditional. So when you whisper, "Still I wait," understand what that means. You're saying, "I trust even without clarity." You're saying, "I choose the pace of heaven over the pressure of men." That phrase isn't weakness, it's a crown of strength. Invisible, but radiant in the spirit realm. Keep that confession alive. It anchors you when emotions shift, because the one who waits in faith never truly stops moving. He's just walking at the rhythm of God. You have noticed it every time you try to step forward. Resistance greets you. It's not coincidence, it's conflict. There is an invisible war surrounding your movement. The moment heaven places a calling on your life, the forces of darkness begin to calculate ways to contain it. You are not under ordinary pressure. You are under prophetic opposition. This is why you feel the invisible weight pressing against your progress. Every time you sense breakthrough, something rises to delay, distract, or discourage. Yet even that resistance is proof that your assignment carries weight in the spirit. Darkness does not fight what does not threaten it. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." Oh, your real battle has never been people, it's spiritual architecture trying to keep you confined. Heaven has you on hold, not because you're losing, but because strategy must precede movement. Imagine a general standing over a map, measuring distance, studying terrain, timing every maneuver before the troops march. You are that general. God has placed you in the war room, not on the battlefield yet. Resistance, when understood, becomes revelation. Every closed door is a signal. It tells you something is being fortified, not forbidden. When you feel the pushback, heaven is training your discernment. You learn to distinguish between delay from God and distraction from darkness. There was once a woman named Nara who prayed for years to start a ministry for abandoned children. Each attempt collapsed. Paperwork lost. Meetings cancelled. Hearts turned cold. She began to think the vision had died. But one night, while fasting, she saw in a dream a locked gate surrounded by unseen hands trying to hold it shut. Yet above it, a voice said, "When I lift my hand, none can hold it closed." And sick, that week, the resistance intensified. It wasn't failure, it was friction before release. Within a month, every obstacle shifted. The same officials who denied her began approving her plans without explanation. She learned, spiritual warfare often peaks right before divine permission. You may be living in that tension right now, the space between knowing and going. Every attack against you is trying to make you doubt the authenticity of your call. Don't let it. The very reason the darkness fights your movement is because it knows what happens once you're unleashed. You are carrying authority that terrifies opposition. That's why the attacks feel personal. That's why delays come disguised as disappointment. The enemy cannot cancel your destiny, but he can try to convince you to abandon it. So heaven pauses you, not as punishment, but as protection. You are being fortified in private so that when you step out, no arrow can pierce your peace. Think of this like the sharpening of a sword. The process is violent, the grinding, the friction, the sparks, but it's necessary. The edge cannot cut until it has endured heat. Likewise, your anointing gains its sharpness through resistance. Every emotional storm you face is part of that forging. The misunderstanding, the isolation, the fatigue, all are hammer strokes, shaping you for endurance. You're learning to fight without bitterness, to pray without fear, to stand when no one claps. Do not waste energy fighting shadows. Learn to stand still and let heaven handle what your hands cannot. This is not the time to argue or prove yourself. It's the time to anchor yourself in truth and let the noise fade. Even in Scripture, before every major deliverance, there was an intensifying of darkness. Before Israel left Egypt, the plagues worsened. Before the resurrection, the stone sealed the tomb tighter. That pattern repeats now. The night always grows thickest before dawn. So if your life feels like a battlefield, you are closer to breakthrough than you think. The warfare is confirmation, not contradiction. Your role in this moment is to hold position, guard your words, keep your spirit anchored. Heaven is issuing orders. you cannot yet hear. But they are coming. The pause is coordination, not abandonment. When the command is given, everything that resisted you will crumble in sequence. You'll see it as sudden shift, like chains losing their purpose. And you'll know every delay, every struggle, every tear was part of a precise military design. For now, breathe. Let the wind of God steady your heart. You are not being held back, you are being armed. There is a reason heaven often covers its chosen ones in secrecy. The world cannot handle raw destiny. When God begins to shape something extraordinary, He hides it like gold still buried in the mountain, like a melody waiting in silence for the breath of a flute. This is the mantle of secrecy. It is not a cage, it is a cloak woven by the hand of mercy. You have wondered, why does no one see me? Why do my efforts stay unseen? But God hides you because premature exposure could poison purity. There are eyes that do not deserve to witness your preparation, ears that cannot yet hear your message. So, heaven wraps you in silence, not rejection. We are reminded through the writings of Proverbs, chapter 25, verse 2, "It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, and the honor of kings to search it out." And even God Himself delights in mystery. He hides His treasures not to keep them from the world, but to keep them safe until they can be revealed. You are one of those treasures. There was a man named Aaron, a musician whose songs carried the fragrance of heaven. When he first began to play, people dismissed him, said his sound was strange, his lyrics too spiritual. He tried to fit the rhythm of the world, but every time he did, his peace evaporated. One day, in prayer, he heard, "Stop chasing platforms. Let me build your altar." So he withdrew. For 3 years, he played only to the wind, the waves, and God. But in that secret place, his sound matured. When heaven finally unveiled him, his music began to heal hearts in ways fame never could. The hidden years were not lost. They were layered into every note. That's what secrecy does. It deepens authenticity. You may not realize it now, but your invisibility is preserving your integrity. There are temptations designed for exposure that cannot reach you in silence. Every hidden day, every unseen act of obedience is a seed. When the time comes, heaven will make the harvest public, but the roots will always belong to you and God. Even Jesus understood this rhythm. Before His miracles, there were hidden years, 30 years of silence, before 3 years of revelation. Heaven is never in a hurry to reveal what it values most. When God cloaks you, He is crafting a covering that hell cannot counterfeit. It is a holy camouflage. Enemies cannot attack what they cannot locate. That's why some people who tried to find you spiritually have lost track they weren't meant to. So, do not resent the silence. Learn to rest in it. The hidden season is where your anointing matures without contamination. What looks like isolation is actually incubation. Sometimes you'll see others move ahead, and envy will whisper, "You're being left behind." But heaven will counter, "No, you're being perfected." The oven door must stay closed until the bread is ready. You cannot rush divine flavor. Think of secrecy as the night sky covering the stars until the world is dark enough to notice them. Your light will not go unnoticed forever. Heaven is simply waiting for the perfect contrast. And when that moment arrives, you won't need to announce yourself. The fragrance of purpose will do it for you. The light will find its way through the seams of the covering, and those who are meant to see will recognize it instantly. Now, if these words resonate deep in you, pause for a breath. Don't rush. Feel it. The story of your hidden season deserves reverence, not reaction. And if this message has stirred something real inside you, if you felt the quiet ache of being unseen, then do something gentle. Press the light icon, not as a click, but as a candle you lift toward heaven. Share it like you would release a dove carrying hope, and subscribe not as duty, but as planting your flag quietly among kindred spirits who wait well. When you do, imagine your action as light rippling across water, small, beautiful, voluntary. Each gesture tells heaven, I choose to keep my flame alive in the dark. You are not lost. You are concealed. Heaven hides what it honors most. Every hidden day is heaven's brushstroke painting your unveiling. The silence that frustrates you now will one day become the proof of how deeply you were loved, because only precious things are guarded so carefully. When the cover finally lifts, you'll understand that the delay was a shield, not a wall. So stay steady in that covering. Keep your heart soft and your spirit awake. The world may not see you yet, but heaven already applauds quietly behind the veil. The heavens speak in more ways than language, sometimes through dreams, sometimes through numbers, sometimes through the rhythm of events that seem too precise to be random. Every chosen one must learn to read heaven's code, because when the next sign comes, it rarely shouts, it whispers. The ancient texts reveal that God often wrapped messages in patterns. The stars guided the Magi. Numbers marked divine appointments. Sevens spoke of completion. 12s of government. 40s of testing. Heaven's communication is written not only in words, but in timing, in symbols, in repetition. According to the wisdom recorded in the book of Job, chapter 33, verses 14 and 15, for God speaks once, yea, twice, yet man perceives it not, in a dream, in a vision of the night. When deep sleep falls upon men, he opens their ears and seals their instruction. There was a young woman named Kyle who could not shake a certain pattern. Every clock she saw seemed to show the same digits, 444. At first, she laughed it off, until it began appearing in her prayers, her receipts, even the pages she opened in her Bible. One night, exhausted from wondering, she asked, Lord, am I imagining this? And she felt a gentle reply, no, I'm teaching you to recognize my rhythm. And musty. That was how her journey in discernment began. From then on, she noticed how heaven trained her not to react, but to recognize every number, every delay, every repeat held a message. 4点44分. She later learned was a code of building, of foundation, of divine order. She was being prepared to construct something lasting. You, too, have seen signs, maybe a number, maybe a phrase that keeps resurfacing. Heaven repeats what it refuses to let you forget. You call it coincidence. Heaven calls it confirmation. The Spirit often hides instruction in the ordinary, waiting for eyes that can see beneath the surface. Some of your delays aren't empty. They're coded intervals meant to align your inner pace with heaven's heartbeat. If you've been praying for clarity and keep encountering the same image, date, or sound. Pause. Don't chase it. Just observe. The language of heaven isn't always literal, it's relational. God speaks differently to each of his chosen. Some receive dreams. Others feel inner knowing. Others perceive patterns in time. Discernment grows only in stillness. You may be seeing repeated numbers because heaven is trying to comfort you, saying, "You are still on schedule." Or maybe it's a gentle alarm, warning you that a decision must wait. The key is not the symbol itself, but the spirit behind it. Even in Scripture, God spoke through signs that seemed simple: a cloud the size of a man's hand, a fleece drenched in dew, a burning bush. The supernatural often hides behind simplicity. If your season feels silent, begin to listen differently. Look for rhythm, not reaction. Pay attention to when your peace rises or fades. That is often heaven's signal. There was once a prophet who described it perfectly. The voice of God was not in the wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, but in a still small voice. The next sign may come that way, not as thunder, but as a pulse in your spirit that says, "Now." End of all. The hardest part of waiting for divine signs is resisting the urge to invent them. That's why patience is part of discernment. The false sign always demands haste. The true one carries peace. So if you find yourself surrounded by repeating patterns, don't panic. Ask quietly, "What are you teaching me through this?" Heaven never wastes repetition. Every echo has a purpose. Remember, the Creator who arranged galaxies also arranged your timeline. Nothing random exists in his mathematics. When the next sign arrives, you won't have to ask if it's real. You'll know because it will harmonize with everything you've been trained to hear. You'll sense it the way a tuning fork vibrates when it meets the right note. Until then, watch, listen, keep your spirit uncluttered. Heaven is a meticulous communicator. It doesn't shout over noise, it speaks through pattern, through quiet alignment, through holy rhythm. And when your spirit confirms it, when something within you whispers, "This is the sign I've waited for," seal that recognition with faith. If these words have stirred something in you, if you've seen the same pattern in your life and felt heaven tugging at your awareness, mark it as acknowledgement. Comment the number 444 below. Not for luck, but as a declaration that you are learning heaven's language. That number is more than digits. It's your yes to divine rhythm. It's a small act of faith that tells heaven you're paying attention, that your spirit is awake to its whisper. Every time you see it again, remember this moment. It will no longer be random. It will be a reminder that God still speaks, and you are now tuned to listen. The waiting you endure is not idle. It is training disguised as stillness. Heaven never leaves its chosen unprepared. The silence between instructions is the sound of your spirit being strengthened. The battlefield you will soon walk upon requires more than passion. It demands endurance, discernment, and the ability to hear God even in noise. That is why you've been kept in what feels like a wilderness. Every great calling comes with a curriculum. You've been attending heaven's hidden academy. The lessons aren't in textbooks, they're written in your tears, your disappointments, your delayed answers. Each struggle has been a classroom where God taught you the art of spiritual resilience, according to the sacred words in the book of James. Chapter 1, verse 4. Let patience have her perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. This verse is not poetic comfort, it's divine psychology. God trains his chosen by allowing patience to complete its course. Every time you wanted to move and couldn't, every time you prayed and received silence, patience was being perfected within you. Let me tell you about Cairo, a man who once saw a vision of himself standing on a stage, teaching thousands about faith. For years he tried to make it happen, organizing events, writing, networking. But the more he tried, the less fruit he saw. Eventually, everything stopped. No doors, no calls, just stillness. One afternoon, sitting in a quiet park, Cairo saw a gardener pruning branches from a tree. Curious, he asked, "Why cut what's alive?" The gardener smiled. "Because if I don't prune, it won't grow stronger. The cut makes room for deeper roots." Those words sank like revelation. That was his answer. He realized heaven wasn't ignoring him, heaven was pruning him. Your pruning has the same purpose: to build roots deep enough to carry the weight of future fruit. If God allowed your promotion before your pruning, your success would destroy you. That's why he trains your character before he showcases your gift. The waiting room is your boot camp. Every delay sharpens your discernment. Every silence disciplines your soul. You are learning to obey without explanation, to trust without visibility, to keep your heart clean when offense tempts you to close it. Training seasons are lonely because heaven removes distractions that could interfere with formation. You might lose friends, opportunities, or comfort, but those losses are strategic extractions. God takes away what dilutes your focus. Imagine a bowstring being stretched. It looks painful, yet the tension is what gives it power. The longer the string holds steady, the farther the arrow will fly. That's your process right now. Heaven's tension producing trajectory. Sometimes you'll be tempted to measure your worth by visible progress. Don't. Heaven measures growth by depth, not distance. The roots beneath the soil matter more than the leaves above it. Even Jesus trained before triumph. The wilderness tested him before the cross crowned him. It was in solitude he learned submission. If the Son of God needed preparation, how much more do we? So stop asking, "When will this end?" and start asking, "What am I meant to master here?" Every season of waiting holds a specific skill. Some seasons teach endurance, others teach discernment, humility, or stewardship. You are not being delayed, you are being equipped. There's a kind of strength only born in silence, the strength to act from peace. Not panits. It is forged in the furnace of restraint. When everyone else is moving fast, and you are told to stay still, something eternal begins to grow inside you. Spiritual authority. Authority is not given to those who rush. It's entrusted to those who can wait without collapsing. Think of King David. Before the throne, there were years of hiding in caves, running from Saul, crying out in psalms. The crown didn't make him a king, the caves did. The solitude taught him the sound of heaven's heartbeat, and that rhythm guided his reign. The same rhythm is being written in you. Every quiet morning you've endured, every unanswered prayer, every internal battle, they're all shaping a voice that hell fears and heaven trusts. One day, you will look back at this wilderness and realize it was never punishment. It was preparation with precision. The days you called wasted will reveal themselves as sacred. Every tear, every test, every pause, part of your spiritual architecture. So, take heart. Heaven hasn't forgotten your promise. It's fortifying your foundation. When the signal comes, you won't just move, you'll march with clarity, carrying authority formed in fire. And those who once pitied your waiting will one day witness your strength, because the ones who survive the hidden season become the ones who shift nations. There are moments when heaven seems silent, so silent that even your prayers echo back unanswered. You search for signs, for voice, for confirmation. Yet all you meet is stillness. It's in that quiet that the greatest test unfolds. Because when God goes silent, He's not gone. He's speaking in a different frequency. Silence is not absence, it is strategy. You've entered a part of your journey where God teaches you to interpret quietness as communication. The noise has been turned off, so you can learn to hear what sound once buried the inner whisper that only stillness can reveal. As written in the book of Psalms, chapter 62, verse 5, "My soul, wait silently for God alone, for my expectation is from Him." And David understood this kind of silence. He knew the ache of unanswered nights, the heaviness of prayers that seemed to vanish. Yet he learned to command his soul to wait, not restlessly, but reverently. Waiting in silence is not passive, it's an act of worship. There was a woman named Sarah who prayed daily for clarity about her next step. She fasted, worshipped, waited, but heaven stayed quiet. One morning, sitting by the sea, she noticed the tide receding. The waves seemed far away, almost absent. For a moment she thought the sea had lost its rhythm. But soon, the water began to return, higher and stronger than before. In that instant, she understood. Heaven's silence is like the receding tide. It gathers power before it returns in fullness. God's silence is not the end of conversation. It's the pause between sentences. When you stop hearing Him, it's not because He stopped speaking, it's because He's inviting you to trust what He already said. Sometimes heaven tests faith by withholding new instructions until you've fully obeyed the last ones. Think of the teacher who stays quiet during an exam. The silence isn't abandonment, it's assessment. You already have the lesson, you just need to live it now. The same happens in your walk. The quiet moments prove whether you trust His character or only His voice. If you can hold your faith in stillness, you've moved from follower to friend. You must understand, heaven's silence is the echo of divine confidence. God is silent not because He's distant, but because He trusts that you've grown enough to move by faith, not by constant reassurance. Every chosen one faces this chamber of quiet. It's where anxiety dies and discernment awakens. You learn to recognize peace as language, timing as answer, rest as revelation. When heaven withholds words, it's often revealing wisdom through experience instead. The greatest leaders of faith were shaped by silence. Abraham waited decades without explanation. Joseph sat in prison without promises, repeated. Mary pondered the angel's words in her heart, holding truth in quiet. Silence carved depth in each of them, and it will in you. There's a purity in silence that noise cannot offer. When God quiets your surroundings, He is removing counterfeit voices. You've likely noticed that certain people have drifted away during this season. Some relationships fell silent. 2. Don't chase those echoes. Heaven is making room for clarity. The art of holy waiting is learning to rest without resignation. It's the difference between surrender and despair. Despair says, nothing is happening. Surrender says, something unseen is forming. En fru, picture yourself as clay resting on the potter's wheel. The potter's hands may lift for a moment, but the shape remains under his gaze. You are still held. The silence is simply the pause between spins, allowing what's been shaped to settle before the next motion. There will come a moment when the silence breaks. It won't be loud, it will be sure. A word will drop in your spirit, and you'll know it's him. You won't need confirmation. Peace will carry the weight of proof. Until then, learn to sit in the quiet with confidence. Trust that stillness is not the absence of God, but the fullness of his control. Your strength is being measured in how well you handle the hush. Every second you spend trusting in silence builds authority that cannot be shaken later. When others panic in uncertainty, you'll stand calm because you've already met God in the quiet. And when heaven speaks again, the sound will feel familiar because you've learned to hear even when no words were spoken. The silence you endure now is sacred rehearsal. It's preparing your heart to recognize the slightest shift of his voice later. What feels like emptiness is actually fine-tuning. Heaven is teaching you the rhythm of restraint and revelation. So breathe. Stay still. The quiet isn't proof that God has left. It's proof that he trusts you to listen differently now. There's a point in the waiting where time itself becomes heavy. You begin to feel the weight of days, the stretch of unanswered moments. You tell yourself to stay strong, but the silence starts to ache. You want to move, to do something, anything, to prove that you still have purpose. This is the testing of impatience, and it is one of heaven's most delicate refinements. Impatience is not just restlessness, it is misplaced urgency. It's what happens when the heart outruns divine timing. The longer you wait, the louder the temptation becomes. Maybe I should take this into my own hands. But heaven resists haste, because haste ruins holy things. The prophet writes in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, verse 8, "Better is the end than the beginning. The patient in spirit is better than the proud." You are being shaped to value the end more than the start, to trust the unfolding instead of forcing results. The impatient heart wants instant proof. The mature spirit wants perfect timing. There was once a man named Elian who waited years to be promoted at work. He prayed, stayed faithful, helped others succeed. Yet every opportunity bypassed him. One day, in frustration, he quit, convinced that God had overlooked him. A month later, the company collapsed under scandal. The new job he found afterward not only matched his skill but placed him under a leader who mentored his faith. He realized that what he called delay was actually deliverance. That's what heaven's timing does. It protects while it prepares. Impatience could have placed you in rooms built to collapse. Waiting saved you from what you didn't know was coming. Patience is spiritual armor. It guards you from premature exposure. It builds restraint, one of the rarest forms of strength. In this generation of instant answers and quick rewards, God trains his chosen to endure, to move only when the command aligns with peace. Every time you feel pressure to act out of fear, remember, God's pace is protection. He delays not because he's indecisive, but because he's designing. He sees the entire picture. You only see the frame. Think of an archer again. The bow is drawn back. Tension unbearable. The arrow trembles, craving release. But the archer waits, measures the wind, the distance, the moment. When release finally comes, it's not random, it's perfect. That's you now. Drum, ready, waiting for the breath of God to say, go. Impatience whispers lies, you're behind. You missed your chance. Others have gone ahead. But destiny doesn't operate on competition. It runs on obedience. What's yours is not being given to anyone else. It's simply being prepared in higher resolution. The ones who learn to wait become carriers of peace in a panicked world. You can spot them easily. Their eyes don't dart. Their words don't rush. Their hearts move in rhythm with heaven. If you are being tried by delay, do not despise it. This furnace burns away dependence on visible results. It leaves only trust behind. Even the earth waits for seasons. The seed doesn't demand fruit overnight. It knows winter has a purpose. You, too, are planted, not paused. The soil around you may feel heavy, but roots are deepening. Remember this, God's not yet is never a no. It's an invitation to prepare. While you wait, strengthen what's within. Feed your faith with remembrance. Let patience stretch you until obedience becomes instinct. When the appointed time comes, you'll understand why you had to endure this test. The reward for patience is not just the promise fulfilled, it's the person you became while waiting. If this word mirrors your current season, if you're tired but still holding on, take a breath and acknowledge it. Tipe iendure. Those two words aren't surrender, they're strength. They mean, I won't let weariness rewrite my faith. They mean, I'm still here, still trusting, still waiting for heaven's perfect cue. Let them stand as a whisper heaven can hear. Echoing through your wilderness, every I endure you speak becomes a seed planted in eternity. Heaven takes note of those who choose faith over frustration. That phrase is not just a comment, it's a covenant. It tells the unseen realm that you refuse to let delay define your devotion. So the next time silence stretches and the path feels endless, remember that endurance is not inactivity. It is motion in disguise, the quiet forward movement of a heart that refuses to quit. Because in the end, the ones who endure are the ones entrusted. Endurance refines your authority. It turns waiting into wisdom. When your moment finally comes, you'll move with grace, not desperation. Because patience will have finished its work. There is always a breath before breakthrough, a still moment before the wind of heaven moves. Many mistake that silence for stagnation, but it is the calm before divine motion. You stand right there now, on the edge between almost and arrived. The air feels thick with anticipation, yet heaven whispers, wait for my signal. The moment before the move is delicate. It's like a violinist raising their bow before the first note. Everything is ready. Yet, the beauty begins only when timing and intention align. You have been tuned by every delay, refined by every pause. When heaven finally releases the sound, you will not need to force anything. Your obedience will become music. The letter to the Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 36 reminds us, you have need of endurance, so that after doing the will of God, you may receive the promise. That verse is a mirror of your moment. You've done the will of God by waiting. Now heaven is arranging the stage for the promise to manifest. There was a woman named Noria who felt this tension deeply. She had prepared, fasted, studied, and was ready to step into a ministry she believed God called her to lead. Yet every attempt to launch fell flat. She grew tired, wondering what more she could do. One evening, walking along a quiet shoreline, she noticed something strange, a flock of birds hovering above the water, wings flapping but not moving forward. Then, all at once, the wind shifted. In a single, unified motion, the flock rose higher and moved effortlessly across the horizon. In that moment, Noria understood. They weren't struggling, they were waiting for the right wind. She realized her time would come the same way, not by striving, but by catching the current of heaven. You are in that same position now. Everything in you is ready. Yet heaven is still adjusting the wind. When it shifts, you won't have to fight to fly. You will simply rise. This is not the season for panic. It's the season for poise. Keep your peace steady, your vision clear, your heart uncluttered. The signal from heaven will come quietly, but unmistakably a conversation, a dream, a door that opens so effortlessly, you'll know it wasn't you. The closer you get to the move, the quieter it becomes. That's how you know you're near. God often dims external noise to help you recognize His voice. The louder the world becomes, the softer His whispers feel. And when the signal comes, there will be no confusion. You won't need to ask, "Is this it?" Your spirit will know. The same peace that once told you wait will now tell you go. But even in this nearing hour, protect your stillness. Don't rush to announce what God hasn't released. The moment before manifestation is fragile, like morning. Dew beautiful, but easily disturbed. Think of yourself as a lantern in a dark room. You've been lit, but you're being shielded by God's hand until the exact moment your light will matter most. When He lifts that hand, it will not just illuminate your path, it will light the way for others who are still waiting. If these words feel like your reflection, pause and breathe. Feel the nearness of heaven hovering around your next step. Don't rush to act. Just let gratitude rise for how far you've already come. And when your heart feels that warmth, that quiet assurance that the signal is close, do something symbolic, something beautiful. Press the light icon as if you're lighting a candle before your own altar. Share this, not as promotion, but as prophecy passing flame to another soul waiting in shadow. Subscribe if your spirit feels the pull, not out of habit, but as a vow to stay aligned with heaven's rhythm. Every small action carries sound in the spirit. When you share light, you participate in heaven's unveiling. When you lift another waiting soul, you become part of the movement itself. So, let your gesture be gentle. No pressure, no noise, just a quiet choice to say, "I'm ready when heaven is." The next sign will come sooner than you think. Stay still until then. The wind is gathering strength. When it comes, it will come swiftly like dawn, breaking through a night that seemed endless. You will not need to force it. The moment will unfold as if the universe itself had been holding its breath for you to rise. That's how divine timing works: effortless, certain, unstoppable. So stand where you are, heart steady, eyes lifted. The signal is not distant anymore. It's already traveling toward you through wind, through whisper, through wonder. When it reaches you, move and don't look back. The greatest battle you will ever face is not with the world around you, but within you. It is the collision of flesh and faith, the argument between what you see and what you believe. Every chosen one must stand in that crossfire. Your logic says, move now. Your spirit says, wait. Your emotions crave clarity. Your faith whispers, trust me. It's not weakness to wrestle with God's timing. It's part of the human design. Even the strongest saints in Scripture fought their own impatience. Faith doesn't erase flesh, it disciplines it. The ancient words found in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 6 declare, to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. This is not about moral perfection, it's about focus. The flesh seeks control, the spirit seeks surrender. And when these two forces collide inside you, the tension becomes holy ground. There was once a woman named Daya who dreamed of healing others. She studied medicine, believing it was her path. But along the way, her faith began stirring in a new direction, a call toward missions, toward using both science and spirit to bring hope. The more she prayed, the more conflicted she became. Her logic said, finish your degree. Build stability. Her faith said, step into uncertainty. I'll meet you there. She tried to silence one voice, then the other. Eventually, exhausted, she stopped arguing and simply sat in stillness. There, in the quiet, she heard peace breathe a single word, both. She understood then that her calling was not either, or it was both. Heaven was not forcing her to choose between mind and spirit, but to unite them under obedience. That revelation transformed her. The same tension that once tormented her became her anointing. Her medical skill opened doors. Her faith healed hearts. What once felt like a war became her harmony. This is the invitation hidden in your own conflict. Heaven is teaching you to let faith and logic coexist without one devouring the other. You were never asked to abandon reason, only to let reason bow to revelation. The flesh wants results, the spirit wants relationship. One demands proof, the other rests in promise. Every moment you choose, trust over control. Heaven expands your capacity for peace. Think of a river split by a rock. The current divides, but still moves forward, meeting again on the other side. That is what God is doing in you, separating impulse from obedience, so both can flow together in purity. When the inner war grows loud, remember this: spiritual peace is not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of focus. You may still feel fear, frustration, or longing, but those emotions no longer lead you, they follow. Faith becomes the compass, and the flesh becomes the student. Even Jesus in Gethsemane experienced this tension. His flesh cried, "Let this cup pass from me," while his spirit answered, "Not my will, but yours." That prayer changed history. It wasn't the absence of fear, it was the triumph of surrender. So when you feel torn between movement and waiting, remember that tug of war is evidence of transformation. The conflict means the spirit is winning. If the flesh ruled completely, there would be no struggle, just rebellion. The very fact that you wrestle shows that your heart belongs to heaven. Every spiritual warrior carries this secret fatigue, the exhaustion of holding still while your humanity screams to run. But the more you endure, the more authority is built, Because true authority is born not in constant victory, but in consistent surrender. You are learning to live above reaction. You are learning to act from revelation, not emotion. That's why this season feels like both a battlefield and a classroom. Heaven is refining your reflexes until obedience becomes instinct. When your mind tries to reason with delay, remember the rhythm of faith. It moves first, then the second. Logic demands evidence before action. Faith creates evidence by acting. You don't wait to feel ready. You move when peace says now. This war between flesh and faith doesn't end, it transforms. Each victory makes you more aware, more balanced, more aligned. The flesh loses dominance, and the spirit gains volume. One day soon, you'll realize that the noise has quieted. The questions will still exist, but they won't rule you. You'll move from inner turbulence to inner trust. When that happens, you'll recognize the power of what was built inside. Faith will no longer be something you hold, it will hold you. That's when heaven can finally release you into purpose without fear of collapse. Because the war within has become worship. You are standing in the pause between prophecy and fulfillment. It's a strange place, holy, but heavy. You've received the promise, but it hasn't yet materialized. The world around you is moving, and you're stuck in stillness that feels endless. But this pause isn't punishment, it's prophecy in progress. Heaven is stretching time so that your spirit can mature enough to carry what's coming. The prophet Hosea once recorded words that echo through this season of delay. In the book of Hosea, chapter 6, verse 3, it is declared, "Then shall we know, if we follow on to know the Lord. His going forth is prepared as the morning, and he shall come unto us as the rain." Our morning doesn't rush, it unfolds. The sun doesn't leap, it rises. The rain doesn't crash, it descends. That's the nature of God's timing, gentle, unstoppable, inevitable. The prophetic pause is not emptiness, it is incubation. Your destiny is forming quietly, like rain clouds gathering far beyond your sight. When they finally break open, you'll see that every silent day was building momentum. There was a man named Solen who lived this truth. Years ago, he received a clear vision to open a refuge for young men lost in addiction. But after the first few steps, the resources dried up and the dream froze. He waited for more signs, but none came. For years, the only thing he heard was silence. Then, one evening, sitting at his kitchen table, he saw lightning flash through his window, not bright enough to blind, but sharp enough to wake something inside him. He felt God whisper, "Even lightning has to wait for the right atmosphere." He realized the pause had been heaven's protection. The city where he once planned to build had become unsafe. Another opportunity was rising elsewhere. When the new door opened, everything aligned: permits, funding, partnerships, all within weeks. The years of stillness made sense in a moment. What felt like delay had been design. This is the rhythm of prophetic pauses. Heaven works ahead of you, rearranging terrain you haven't reached yet. You see stillness, God sees synchronization. Your heart must learn to rest in that unseen alignment. Every time you ask, "Why not yet?" heaven answers, "Because not yet is the safeguard of now." End of. In this season, you are being called to trust beyond visible evidence. Faith in the pause is deeper than faith in progress. Anyone can believe when miracles manifest, but few can remain faithful when miracles take their time. You're not waiting for God to act. God is waiting for you to finish becoming. The fulfillment of prophecy depends not only on timing, but on readiness. Heaven doesn't hand crowns to the impatient. It gives them to the faithful who endured the silence without losing reverence. Think of a seed again. It's buried, unseen, pressured by soil, yet under the weight, life begins. That's your pause. Beneath the heaviness of uncertainty, roots are anchoring so that your growth can sustain the harvest ahead. You may look around and see no sign of progress, but heaven is not idle. It's engineering your environment, aligning hearts, times, and even climates to receive you properly. The pause between prophecy and manifestation is sacred because it's the only place where purity can be perfected. Once fulfillment arrives, applause will test your humility. So heaven pauses you to build endurance against pride. Do not rush this chapter. Every second has meaning. The pause is where patience becomes prophecy's proof. When you feel forgotten, remind yourself, the author is still writing. Every quiet line still leads to the promise. And when the rain finally falls, it won't drizzle, it will pour. You won't need to chase signs anymore. Signs will begin chasing you. If this message finds you in that holy in-between, between what was spoken and what has yet to be seen, let this moment be an altar. Comment the number 555 below. Not for luck or ritual, but as a whisper of faith. 5 is the number of grace, and grace is what carries you through the pause. Every time you see that number again, let it remind you that heaven's hand still rests on your timeline. You are not delayed, you are developing. Heaven's rain is already gathering. That number 555 isn't a charm, it's a reminder. It symbolizes grace multiplied. Heaven's way of saying, I am not done with you yet. When you write it, you align your faith with divine patience, trusting that the same God who began your story still holds the pen. So hold your peace. Let grace do the pacing. The prophecy hasn't expired. It's ripening in silence, preparing its perfect unveiling. There is a truth that few speak about. The breakthrough doesn't begin when you see it. It begins long before, in realms unseen. The moment heaven decrees a release, it's already in motion, though your eyes can't yet perceive it. The unseen release order is the divine document that shifts everything quietly before earth ever catches up. When God moves, he moves in layers. First, he speaks in the spirit. Then, creation rearranges to obey. What you call sudden is only the visible portion of a long, invisible process. According to the testimony found in the book of Daniel, chapter 10, verse 12, from the first day that you set your heart to understand and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. No, Daniel prayed for revelation and waited 3 weeks before the angel appeared. But the answer had already been sent the first day. The delay was not in God's decision, it was in the delivery. That's the mystery you're living right now. Heaven has already released what earth has yet to reveal. You think nothing is happening, but unseen messengers are moving, rearranging, dismantling, preparing. The heavens are full of motion, even while your world feels still. The silence you feel isn't inactivity. its instruction being delivered to invisible realms on your behalf. There was a woman named Myra who experienced this kind of hidden movement. She prayed for restoration with her estranged brother. For years, no calls, no messages, no forgiveness. Then one night, she dreamed of a bridge being built from her side of a canyon to the other. The next day, she received a message her brother had written her a letter but hadn't sent it yet. She didn't know it, but he had started writing it weeks earlier. The same week, she began her fast. Heaven had synchronized their hearts without either one seeing the full picture. That's what happens when the release order is issued. You begin to sense changes you can't explain. Old restlessness fades. You feel new peace where pain used to live. The shift begins inside before it ever shows up around you. Sometimes, God allows the manifestation to lag so that your character can catch up with the blessing you might be ready to receive. But others connected to your story still need adjustment. Heaven's timing ensures that when the promise lands, it won't break anyone involved. Think of a conductor raising his baton before an orchestra. Every musician is ready, but the music doesn't begin until all are aligned. The moment that baton moves, sound fills the air as if from nowhere. That's divine synchronization. The moment when heaven's unseen order becomes earth's visible harmony. You may not realize it, but some of the resistance you've faced recently wasn't opposition, it was preparation for release. Heaven was testing your endurance to see if you could remain still while things shifted without your control. Every delay you survived was data added to heaven's case file, proving you can be trusted with what's next. When the release order reaches Earth, it won't trickle in, it will overflow. Picture an underground river held by layers of rock. For years, pressure builds silently until one day the surface cracks and water bursts through. People call it a spring, but in truth, it was always flowing beneath them. That's your life right now. Pressure in private, power in public. When heaven decrees, earth must yield. Even the smallest instruction, a whisper, a chance meeting, a sudden shift in conversation can be the signal that the unseen order has arrived. You might wake one morning and realize that the atmosphere around you has changed. What was hard yesterday suddenly feels easy. What resisted you for years now flows. That's not coincidence. That's heaven's paperwork clearing the final stage. The key is to stay aligned even when you can't see movement. Doubt delays delivery. Faith keeps the channel open. When you choose to trust in the unseen, you become a participant in heaven's logistics. You don't have to chase the breakthrough. It's already chasing you. You only need to stay positioned. At times, you'll feel the release before you witness it. You'll sense it in your prayers, in your worship, in your peace. Your spirit will begin to rest as if it already knows something your mind has yet to discover. That's how heaven announces completion. The moment it manifests, you'll recognize it instantly, not as surprise, but as confirmation. You'll whisper, "This was already done," because deep down, you knew it. So, while you wait for the visible shift, remember, the invisible has already moved. The decree has already been signed. You are not waiting for victory, you're waiting for visibility. Something is forming in the distance. A quiet gathering of those who carry similar light. Heaven rarely releases one chosen one alone. It aligns others of the same frequency to create a movement. This is the gathering of the marked ones, the convergence of souls who have endured the same wilderness. survived the same silence, and are now being woven into one divine tapestry. You may have felt isolated for years, wondering why people drifted away. Why connections that once felt permanent faded without reason. But isolation was not exile, it was selection. Heaven had to clear your surroundings so that when divine connections arrived, they would recognize you by spirit, not by circumstance. The ancient record in the first book of Corinthians, chapter 12, verse 18 reveals a clue to this mystery. But now has God set the members, every one of them, in the body, as it has pleased him. Ilu, that means the placement of your life, the timing, the people, even the disappointments has been deliberate. You are a part of a divine body being assembled. Every chosen one is a piece of sacred architecture, designed to fit a specific position when the structure is ready. When heaven builds, it builds in unity. You are not the only one carrying the light. Across the world, others are waking, hearing the same whispers, feeling the same urgency, being drawn toward the same horizon. They are your unseen allies, your spiritual kin. There was a man named Theon who spent years serving quietly in a small town. He often wondered if his faith mattered in such obscurity. Then, unexpectedly, an online ministry connected him with a group of believers across nations who had been praying for someone with his exact skill set. When they met, it was as if each had been holding half of the same vision. Together, their impact multiplied beyond anything they could have done alone. That's how divine gatherings work. Heaven synchronizes hearts long before introductions occur. The pull you feel toward new places or unfamiliar people isn't random. It's the magnetism of destiny aligning. God's kingdom moves through connection. One person carries revelation, another carries strategy, another carries endurance. When they meet, heaven breathes through the collaboration. The enemy fears this convergence because isolation weakens power, but unity multiplies it. Think of embers scattered across the ground. Alone, each glows faintly, struggling to survive the wind. But when gathered together, they ignite into a fire that cannot be contained. You are one of those embers. Heaven is bringing others close until your flames merge into a single blaze. This gathering will not be loud or public at first. It begins in whispers, shared dreams, aligned burdens, mutual confirmations. You'll recognize these souls not by fame or familiarity, but by resonance. Your spirit will recognize theirs before your mind does. You'll feel a strange peace, a knowing that says, we were meant to build together. In the days to come, you will notice divine introductions increasing. Conversations will lead to purpose. Partnerships will feel pre-written. Heaven is weaving networks of light across the earth, connections formed not by ambition but by assignment. But remember this, before unity comes purification. That's why your relationships were sifted. Not everyone could cross into this next chapter with you. The pruning was protection. Only those forged in truth can handle the purity of divine alignment. The gathering of the marked ones is not a social event, it's a spiritual activation. When you meet these others, something inside you will awaken. Your gifts will sharpen, your purpose will expand. It's not competition, it's completion. Each carries a piece of the same commission. Heaven builds communities the way it builds stars, each one burning separately, yet held in the same constellation by unseen gravity. Together, they tell a story only visible from above. You are part of that story. Soon, what was once scattered will form pattern. What was once lonely will become linked. The same spirit that called you into solitude is now calling you into synergy. This is not about gathering crowds, it's about gathering carriers. The ones who have been through fire and did not lose their flame. The ones who have cried in silence but kept their oil full. These are the kind heaven brings together at the appointed time. You'll know you've met one when conversation feels like prophecy and peace feels like confirmation. No striving, no pretense, just mutual recognition of divine fingerprints. And when these connections begin to form, move with reverence. Handle them as sacred trusts. Because in this unity, heaven's plans accelerate. What took years in isolation will take months in alignment. You are not meant to walk alone anymore. The time of solitary training is closing. The season of divine collaboration has begun. The gathering is real. And you are being summoned to it, not by invitation, but by vibration. There will come a moment quiet, unannounced, when heaven's signal finally arrives. It won't sound like thunder, it will feel like recognition. Something inside you will exhale, as if a key has turned in an invisible lock. That is the signal of movement. It's not just permission, it's propulsion. Heaven will not only allow you to move, it will carry you forward. When that moment comes, you won't need to force doors open. You'll watch them swing without effort. The same gates that resisted you for years will respond like metal to magnet, pulled open by divine gravity. The prophet spoke in the book of Micah, chapter 2, verse 13. The one who breaks open will go up before them. They will break through and go out. The Lord leads as king. That verse is your signal. The breaker God himself goes before you, shattering the walls you thought were permanent. This movement is not rebellion, it's redemption. Heaven is not pushing you randomly, it's clearing the path so your steps can become sacred. The day will come when heaven whispers, now, not soon, not almost, but now, in that instant. Every lesson from the waiting, every scar from the battle, every prayer in the silence will align into purpose. You will move as one who carries the weight of heaven's endorsement. There was a woman named Selah who once dreamed of being a writer but never found the courage to share her words. For years, she kept journals filled with revelation, afraid they weren't worthy. Then one morning, as she walked through her city, a stranger stopped her and said, I don't know you, but I keep hearing a name, Selah. You're meant to speak what you write. Her knees tremble. That night she opened her notebook again, and as she reread her words, something shifted. The same sentences that once felt small now burned with authority. Within weeks, she began sharing her work, and hearts started awakening. She didn't chase opportunity, it found her. That's what the signal does. It activates what was always inside you. When heaven gives the command, the landscape changes. The delays lose their hold. The obstacles dissolve. What was heavy becomes light, yet even in motion. Humility must remain your anchor. The signal is not a medal of superiority, it's an invitation to serve at a greater scale. Movement is not about arrival, it's about assignment. Heaven never releases you to be noticed, it releases you to be useful. Imagine standing on a shoreline as the tide begins to return. The water doesn't rush in recklessly, it rises with rhythm, washing over everything that once felt dry. That's how heaven moves you rhythmically. gently, powerfully. Every step forward will carry both grace and gravity, and when the moment of release finds you, you'll feel heaven's current beneath your feet. The ground will no longer resist you. It will partner with your steps. If this message resonates within you, if something in your spirit whispers that your signal is near, pause. Let the truth settle like morning light through a window. You don't have to rush to respond. Revelation deserves stillness before action. But when your heart finally feels that quiet, yes, that soft readiness, let it express itself in a way that carries meaning. Press the like icon as if placing your hand on the promise itself. Share this message not for algorithm, but as an act of awakening, passing flame to another traveler who's waiting for their own signal. And subscribe only if your spirit feels drawn, as if stepping into a river already moving in your direction. Each gesture becomes symbolic, a small echo in the spiritual realm. A ripple that says, I'm part of this unfolding. And when you leave your reflection below, let it be gentle. Write a few words that your heart feels, maybe, I'm listening, or the wind is near. Don't do it for me. Do it as a prophetic act. A note to heaven saying, you recognize the stirring, because in truth, your movement won't start with noise or crowds. It will begin right here, in the quiet recognition that heaven has turned its face toward you again. So lift your head, steady your heart, and stay watchful. The signal doesn't come to those who strive, it comes to those who are ready. And when it finally arrives, you won't move alone. The same wind that guided Noah's ark, that parted the sea for Moses, that filled the upper room with fire, will lift you too. Let your readiness be worship. Let your movement be melody. The time of stillness has served its purpose. The sound of release is near. When the signal comes, hesitation will vanish. All the questions that once tangled your thoughts will lose their weight, and a calm certainty will rise within you. It won't be adrenaline or impulse. It will be peace wrapped in power. That's how you'll know the time has come. Divine movement never feels frantic. It feels inevitable. The release of heaven is gentle, yet unstoppable. It arrives like a dawn that cannot be delayed, like a wave that has gathered strength through miles of silence. The moment your spirit says yes, the very atmosphere around you begins to cooperate. Obstacles that once seemed immovable will shift quietly, as if recognizing your new authority. The scripture reveals in the book of Joshua, chapter 3, verse 13, as soon as the priests who carry the ark step into the Jordan, the waters will stop and stand in a heap. That verse carries a divine pattern. Miracles respond to motion. The priests had to step first before the river obeyed. It wasn't the water that made way. It was obedience that made the impossible possible. That's the secret of courage, not the absence of fear, but the decision to move while fear still whispers. There's a story of a man named Aven who had been waiting for years to launch a vision that God had placed in his heart. Every time he tried, something blocked him: money, timing, people, fear. One morning, he woke with a simple phrase echoing inside him: walk forward. There were no details, no visible guarantees. Still, he obeyed. Within days, confirmations appeared: a sudden phone call, a long-lost contact, resources that arrived without explanation. He realized the moment he stepped, heaven supplied. That is how divine movement operates. It demands motion before manifestation. The miracle waits for your momentum. Faith is not the absence of movement. It's the courage to move while still surrounded by mystery. You've been trained for this exact hour. Every delay taught you discipline. Every rejection strengthened your discernment. Every silence refined your sensitivity to God's whisper. Now, when you move, it won't be noise, it will be precision. Think of yourself as an arrow drawn and held under tension for a long season. The holding wasn't punishment, it was focus. The archer's hand never wavered, and when he finally releases you, you will not drift. You will fly exactly where heaven aims. Many confuse movement with chaos, but divine motion is different. It doesn't scatter, it aligns. When God releases you, your steps will land on paths already prepared. The right people will appear as if summoned by invisible signal. The right opportunities will unfold without manipulation. You will realize that all along, heaven was several steps ahead. But even as you move, humility must remain your anchor. Don't rush to announce what God is quietly building. Sometimes the loudest proof of calling is silence in success. When you walk into fulfillment, do so with reverence, not noise. The power of divine movement lies in its stillness. You will be active, but not anxious, visible, but not dispirited. Those who see you will notice the difference, not performance, but presence. That is the mark of one sent by heaven. Your movement will not only free you, it will free others watching you. Every act of obedience becomes a doorway for someone else's courage. Some are waiting to see if faith still works. Your step will become their confirmation. Remember the Red Sea. The water didn't part until Moses lifted his staff. Heaven responded to motion. The same principle remains. Miracles often wait for movement. You will not move in arrogance, but in awareness that the one who began this journey is walking beside you. Each breath will carry the weight of partnership, and though fear may whisper as you step forward, peace will answer louder. You'll feel it like wind on your face, soft, certain, alive. That's not emotion, that's endorsement. As you walk, you'll discover that movement itself becomes prayer. Every step says, I trust you. Every decision says, I remember what you promised. When heaven releases, earth responds. Creation itself recognizes divine command. The same God who called light out of darkness will call your destiny out of waiting. So, walk without trembling. The ground you feared is already blessed. The road ahead is no longer trial, it's testimony. You have carried the promise, now the promise carries you. And as you move, the air itself will seem to shift, subtle, sacred, alive. Every breath will feel lighter, every step more certain. You'll understand then, courage was never about strength, but surrender. Because the moment you trusted the wind of heaven, it became impossible to fall. There is a moment when waiting ends, not with noise, but with knowing. The stillness that once surrounded you begins to hum with quiet assurance. You've crossed the unseen threshold. The season of delay gives way to movement, and movement gives birth to authority. Heaven crowns those who have learned to move by command, not by impulse. You have walked through silence, through pruning, through resistance and fire, but none of it was wasted. Each chapter served a purpose in shaping the crown now being placed upon you. The delay refined you. The secrecy preserved you. The warfare strengthened you. You are not who you were when the waiting began. You have become something rarer, someone trusted. The ancient text in the second book of Timothy, chapter 4, verse 7 declares, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. That verse was never about competition. It was about completion. It speaks of a soul that endured process, resisted surrender, and crossed the finish line with faith intact. That's what heaven celebrates, not speed, but steadfastness. There was once a man named Eli who spent half his life chasing clarity, desperate to understand his calling. He fasted, studied, and worked relentlessly, always fearing he was behind. When his father died unexpectedly, Eli broke. He stopped striving, stopped planning, and for the first time, sat still in that quiet grief. God whispered, "You have never been late. You were learning the pace of eternity." That revelation changed everything. Eli realized the journey wasn't about arriving somewhere. It was about becoming someone. The pause was part of the race. The slow was part of the strength. So it is with you. Heaven never measures destiny by speed. It measures by surrender. The ones who learn to stay faithful in obscurity, to worship through confusion, to trust when logic collapses, those are the ones crowned in divine timing. Your crown is not gold. It's glory, the evidence of transformation. It's the weight of wisdom resting upon a soul that refused to quit. You've been entrusted with influence, not because of perfection, but because of endurance. Now, as you step into this new rhythm, you'll notice the air around you feels lighter. The fear that once shadowed every decision no longer has a voice. What once intimidated you will begin to submit to you. That is the fruit of spiritual authority, not domination, but peace that governs chaos. The crown doesn't make you superior, it makes you responsible. Heaven crowns the humble to heal the proud. You've been equipped not to reign over others, but to serve from strength. The wisdom born in waiting now becomes the light you carry into movement. Think of an eagle that spent months grounded, waiting for its wings to strengthen. When it finally takes flight, it doesn't flap in panic, it glides. Every current that once looked threatening becomes an ally. You are entering that stage now. What once opposed you will begin to assist you. The winds that broke others will lift you higher. But even in ascension, remember the ground that shaped you, the caves of silence, the nights of doubt, the unseen tears. All of it was sacred. They taught you reverence, empathy, discernment. A true crown is not worn on the head. It rests in the heart. Your season of concealment has ended. The covering that once hid you now transforms into light that reveals you. Heaven's reward for patience is visibility that cannot be corrupted. The same God who restrained you now releases you, saying, "You are ready. You will move differently, now quieter, deeper, stronger." Every word you speak will carry the weight of process. Every decision will bear the fragrance of obedience. The world will sense it, even if they can't explain it. Crowned doesn't mean finished, it means faithful. It means heaven has seen your endurance and marked you for impact. Look back once more, not with regret, but with reverence. Every season had a reason. Every delay was direction. Every silence was shaping. You are proof that waiting can build warriors, that hidden seasons can birth leaders, that restraint can refine royalty. So stand tall in grace. The pause has passed. The movement has begun, and you, crowned in divine timing, now carry the authority of one who has seen both silence and glory and chosen still to believe. The story written in waiting is now etched into your spirit. Every scar gleams like silver under heaven's light. Proof that grace did not fail you. You wear endurance as armor and humility as gold. This is the true crown of the chosen. Go forward gently. The world will not hear noise, it will feel presence. And now, the story closes. But your movement continues. The words you've heard were never meant to end here. They were meant to awaken something ancient inside you. You've walked through stillness, through shadows, through silence and revelation. Every line was heaven's whisper, reminding you that the pause was never punishment. It was preparation. If your heart feels lighter, if you found yourself breathing differently, it means something in your spirit has shifted. That's not emotion, that's alignment. You've heard what heaven needed you to hear. And if, somewhere deep within, you sense that this message has mirrored your own hidden journey, then let your response be more than reaction. Let it be reflection. Press the like icon, not for vanity or approval, but as a small act of gratitude, as though you were placing a stone of remembrance on sacred ground. Share this message only if your spirit feels stirred, like passing a flame into another waiting hand. You never know who stands where you once stood, needing to know that the silence still holds purpose. Leave a comment below, not for attention, but as a living echo. Write something honest, something that belongs to your moment, perhaps. I'm ready, or I still believe. Words like those carry weight. They become declarations in the unseen. And if this space has become a place where you felt heaven close, subscribe not as a transaction, but as a quiet vow to stay connected to the current of truth that keeps your light alive. Your journey doesn't pause with the last word. You are part of a larger rhythm, a movement of chosen souls rising in silence, ready to carry the same message into their own worlds. The page may close, but the purpose breathes on,